We have Scott Miller here today. He is a published author and the CEO of Yesly Water. Thank you for joining me today, Scott.
Yeah, Chad, it's a pleasure to spend some time with you today talking about business and life. I look forward to our conversation.
Well, I appreciate you joining me, and I always appreciate having like-minded individuals and people who are focused on helping people with mindset. I'm a big proponent of mindset being one of the most important factors of success in individuals, no matter what you choose to do, but especially in what I consider the most competitive playing field, which is the business or entrepreneurial space. So just kind of, if you can give us a quick background about, kind of what your philosophies around your book are, and then how you apply that to Yesly Water. I think that'd be a good place to start for the audience.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I wrote a book called The Summit Mindset, Winning the Battle You versus You. It came out in September of 2023. And it's really a book that, your mom could read or a CEO in the boardroom could read. It's really about doing things that set your soul on fire. What is your North Star? What are you looking to do in your life? And what are your pillars? Meaning, what actually sets you in motion and what do you live by within your pillars? My pillars are faith, family, others, and business. So I toggle between those things to be effective in my life. And in February 27th in 2023, we started Yesly Functional Water. It's a water product that's flavored, distilled water with vitamins B12, B6, vitamin C, and 0 calories, really for the active lifestyle and on the move. And Yesly really is a made-up name of the positive affirmation, yes. We kind of have a tagline, say yes to what's next, whether it's taking a walk around the block or someone gardening in their backyard. Your yes is different from my yes, but we all have a yes. And I think that when we look at entrepreneurism, it's really about setting our sights on what we want to achieve. And then to your point, Chad, our mindset on how we go about it.
Nice. And so why Yesly? I mean, what was the connection to water? Or how did that kind of become the main product that you decided to build?
Great question. Prior to running Yesly, I was the former CEO of Essential Water, and we sold that business to Nestle Water, the largest food and beverage company in the world. And water to me is something that's part of everyone's life, and how we can do it in a way that's fun and active and really inspires people to get out and move and make motion part of their life. I think when you can do that in a fun way, it's interesting, fun, whether it's at a picnic or again, with your family or taking a hike, Yesly Water was born.
Nice. And just because one of the things that we try to focus on for our audience here on the Fans First podcast is really talking about how you go about building and fostering a community around whatever service or product that you're trying to push. When you kind of started the brand Yesly, and really kind of even earlier in your career, what were some of the ideas that you had about how to kind of build a community around the product that you're coming out with?
Yeah, I think when you start a brand, no matter what you're starting, it's about making sure you leave nobody out. You invite everyone into your brand, right? And you try to do things that are meaningful to everyone, right? Everyone wants a North Star. Everybody wants to achieve something in their lives, but often it's about what sets your soul on fire. And I'm a big runner and I love active lifestyle. So I wanted to give something that people could use in their daily life, whether it's at a picnic or a walk around the block. And really that's understanding what your North Star is, your circle of influence, and how you can make an impact in your community, in the business world. And I think it really is about inclusivity, leaving nobody behind, that it's not just a hardcore athlete, it's an active lifestyle person, right? It's the ability to get up and move and do something meaningful in your life. And that's really how Yesly is born. And when we take that approach, we can impact everybody in a different way.
Yeah, no, I like some of the terms you use there. I tell people all the time, one of the things that, whether you want to or not, and I think social media and the internet have made it even more relevant than ever, is every company kind of has a lifestyle brand associated with it. And if you're on top of controlling that lifestyle brand and what that message is, it's a lot easier than you allowing the brand itself to have its own image. So whether you wanted to have a culture, whether you wanted to have kind of that lifestyle of employees and followers and customers, it's going to happen one way or the other. And I think it's better to be kind of on the forefront of that and thinking about it. And it seems like that's kind of what you do with your brand. So when it comes to Yesly, what are your kind of general activities that you would say to bring more people in? How do you generate enough traction socially, whether that's through content or through your relationships and network to even bring people into having the opportunity to see the brand? Like, what are those steps look like for you?
Yeah, Chad, that's such a great question. I think it does start with culture. And one of the things we say in our culture is we're a we culture, which means that we all want to contribute, we all want to make a difference, and we want to include everyone. So when you start a brand, it's about not only what you do from a business perspective, what you do in the community. You know, during the disastrous Hawaii fires, we gave back. We made a difference there with contributing a few $1,000s. We're a small company just getting started, but we want to make sure that we're giving back as well. And then essentially it's really about what does your brand represent? For us, it's about motion is life, right? We all can take a walk around the block. We all can get out and move. And we want to be this active lifestyle brand that impacts everyone and leaves no one behind. And then it's really about brick by brick, doing the work every day, doing the reps. This year, we signed up with NIL athletes, college athletes, to work with post game and to post on our Instagram about sports and activities. And again, it's not just about the hardcore athlete, it's about the athlete just on the move every day. So when you build your brand, I think the first thing you have to understand is who are you and what do you want to do and how do you want to make an impact? And what is your North Star? Our North Star is to be the number one, functional distilled water in the space. We're the first of its kind. It's a white space opportunity. We're in a 16-ounce can for sustainability, and we're an active lifestyle brand on the move.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, obviously from my background in athletics and, my most notable company, Kettlebell Kings, I'm a huge fan of any real fitness company and positive movements like that. So I get a lot of comparisons from my journey when I'm hearing kind of you talk about some of the things you're doing. What does that look like when you're trying to work with other companies? One of the things that we would do with Kettlebell Kings is we kind of try to have strategic alliances. There will be some competitors out there, but there is space for cross promotions and things that can kind of help build two communities or make kind of positive impact on multiple communities. Are you doing anything like that with Yesley Water, or is that kind of part of your strategy as well?
Yeah, I think that, we're in our first really year going into the change. We're in Stop and Shop in the Northeast. We're going into Sprouts this summer. So we want to build our fundamentals correctly and get that right. And then we want to align cross-promotionally and even with influencers, people that are passionate about what we're doing, people that really connect with the brand, right? To build a brand, I think the best way to do it is the authenticity of the brand and the community that you align with. So we look for folks that want to passionately be involved and make a difference. We want to make sure we have good fundamentals and we practice like we play every day.
Got it. And when you're trying to decide how to, expand your, let's say, product lineup, for example, what points of references are you using to determine that? So even from your flavoring to, the things that are going in from the ingredients and the types of manufacturers you even choose, how do you and do you use the fan base to kind of make those decisions, or are you yourself an expert in that space? How do you go about kind of navigating that?
Well, I never like to consider myself an expert. I think the fan base is so important, right? Getting feedback from the community, what they're looking for, what they want. We do a lot of consumer insight work, asking about taste, profile, and flavor. Our goal with Yes is to create a clean product, right? And we wanted a product with electrolytes and vitamins, which is outstanding. We also use a stevia base, a natural root and zero sugar product. We want to create something we can give to our fan base that they can be proud of carrying around. Healthy, better for you with like-minded people. And that's our starting point. And then we want to listen to the fan base and our consumers and what kind of feedback they give us. How's our taste profile? Are we too sweet, not sweet enough? How do they feel about a still product? How do they like our name? And really take all that feedback in and understand what the customer's telling us. I think it's super important to be a good listener and then reapply those learnings to your brand.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think one of the philosophies that I talk about quite a bit in my book, and I'm actually working on my upcoming book now that'll be more focused on this fans first philosophy, is, one of the things that people love to feel is involved. And when you can, even if they don't necessarily have the direct decision-making power in your company, just having their opinion heard goes a long way in building true fans. And I think any business that looks at the feedback they get from their audience as something good versus something that's annoying or something that they would prefer not to hear, I think they go a lot further. And that's one of the things I've always tried to do as well. When you're trying to, build let's say internally, I know you mentioned you're kind of in your first year now. How are you trying to build that culture internally, and where do you go about finding people who want to be associated or work with the brand?
Yeah, Chad, that's an outstanding question. I think the first thing we did when we set up the company, as I talked to you earlier about our pillars, who do we want to be? What do we want to bring to the world, right? When we're looking at interview employees, potential employees, we want to talk about our pillars. We're a we culture. We're community based, right? We want to be the number one enhanced water in the space, functional water in the space. So we kind of have a vision for where we're going. We understand what our North Star is. And then when we're interviewing folks, if, we're interviewing Chad, we'd say, hey, does Chad fit into our team? Is he a we culture kind of guy, or is he an I guy? And when you have we culture folks, everybody has a valuable voice, to your earlier point. We want people to have that valuable voice and make an impact. The way we look at it is everybody works long hours, long days. And when you have a valuable voice and you're empowered to make a difference, that's when you're the best competitive team on the field. It's not a bunch of superstars. It's a bunch of players playing as one team together at the common goal to reach our North Star.
Yeah, I mean, I coming from a sports background, couldn't agree more. I tell people how big a deal it is. I think that almost every individual, if possible, should have the opportunity to play sports or some type of competitive gaming where you have to come together as a team to perform something difficult. I think that's what life kind of boils down to, and nothing is ever done in a vacuum or by one individual. And I think there's a lot to learn from that. Where do your philosophies come from? Or, or you have an athletic background, or, you really seem like you kind of get the team aspect of cultures and brands. Where do you kind of attribute those
I,
thoughts from?
I think that, first of all, I think all leaders should be learners, right? I think as a leader, you have to be a learner from your people. You have to seek out knowledge from podcasts, from books, and all leaders should be learners. And I have a learner's mindset. I'm not fixed-minded. I have a mindset that never stops evolving. I want to get better every year. I've been at this for about 30 years. So I've been at it a long time. And I still wake up every day hungry for knowledge, right? I want to learn from you today. I want to hear back from your audience. So when we have that mindset of never stopping evolving, we keep getting better, and we have a learner's mentality. I'm a runner. I love to run every day. When I was a younger guy, I was a wrestler, so I love sports like yourself. But I run every morning, right? I do that to think and to compete with myself, to clear my head and get after it, and then have a learner's mindset. I believe when you have a learner's mindset, and if you can create a team environment with a learner's mindset, you're listening to each other. You're looking to get better. You're never pointing fingers. You're running to the fire together to solve a problem. When you do that, again, you create the most competitive atmosphere. And we kind of all do the reps together, right? And when you do that, you really break down the walls, you break down the hierarchy, and the goal of all of us commonly is to win as a collective team. We don't always get it right. And I think as leaders, you also have to ask yourself, hey, what do we suck at? Looking inward, what can we do better? And it's kind of always recalibrating the game, right? It's like when the ball goes out of bounds in sports. You put it back in bounds, you play. When the game's over, you look at the film. Same thing in business, right? When you look inward and say, what do we stink at? What do we suck at? How do we adjust? When you make those adjustments, you keep closing gaps. When you close gaps, you become better competitors. We're always going to make mistakes. It's business and life. But when you can be aware of them, recalibrate, the team keeps improving. And ultimately, that's the goal, that we become a winning team. I always like to say, Chad, I want to wake up every day with a team that wants to play championship ball. It doesn't mean we win every day, but we wake up every day to play championship ball. And that starts with doing the reps and doing the work.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better myself. One of the things people miss is that you kind of have to find out what you suck at, and you have to go through a process of improvement. And that it doesn't feel good the entire time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not supposed to. I try to equate a lot of things to sports. I try to say you have to kind of create a way to have your own practices and micro battles and things that you will win and lose. And losing is a good thing sometimes. It refocuses you in the right direction. It creates your priorities. If you never lost, we would never know which direction to go in business or in life. So I think there's a lot to, just like you're saying, getting the reps in. When you're first starting, and you come from a corporate America, and you obviously have kind of transitioned to owning your own business. When you're first starting to try to do that, what is kind of the shift in mindset for you, or have you always had the mindset that I can do both? What was there a shift or kind of a light bulb moment for you, or where do you kind of get the inspiration to go out and do it on your own?
Well, like you, last year I wrote my first book, right? And people say, you're going to write a book, you're never an author, right? So, you have to have a mindset that you believe you can win, that you first have to believe in yourself. And then you have to have the mindset as an entrepreneur that you're going to do the reps and do the hard work, right? I think you also have to have the mindset that you're constructively dissatisfied, that you're always looking to get better and review that tape. So, I've spent my career in mid-sized businesses like Snapple and, Essentia, Tampico Beverage, started my career on the warehouse floor at Pepsi. But I've always been an entrepreneur in my mind, and I've always wanted to get to this place in my journey. So I'm not a guy that's, 30 years old doing this. I've eclipsed 60 years old, and I'm starting a new business. Some people say, wow, you're crazy. Most people are looking to retire. I'm just looking to continue to evolve and get better, right? So I have that pursuit of my North Star to be the best I can be in business, to be the best I can be in life. Some days I stink, some days I'm really good. That's just living, right? When we understand that's the journey, to your earlier point, Chad, we're gonna fail. How do we adjust? How do we recalibrate? How do we get better? When we have that learner's mindset, listen, that's what sets my soul on fire. Having that mindset to continue to get better. Talk to a guy like you that sold a company, that's done some things, and now is on another journey. I think surrounding yourself with like-minded people that want to get up and play in the arena every day is super important.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, no, that's I'm fortunate enough to have kind of that instilled in me from a very young age that, you have to get on the field, and, the glory goes to the people who are even willing to sacrifice themselves and put themselves in that situation. So there is no kind of other way around putting yourself out there and actually competing and trying to do the best and be the best that you can ever become.
Fully agreed.
When I'm trying to think about, the fans of brands that I'm building, I really try to think about kind of the positive value that I can bring to them outside of the specific product. Are you thinking about, other things besides the product, or do you really kind of focus everything into the product? Like, being associated with the brand, to me, in my mind, would be also a boost to your, let's say, social credibility, a boost to, your emotional well-being. And that may be through the content that I'm generating or the other relationships that I've created through the business. And I guess the point is I think the product is one piece of it, and there's another lifestyle or cultural piece of it. Where do you go about even building that from? Is that just coming from you yourself? Is that from your journey and experiences? But if you were trying to speak to someone who doesn't necessarily have the level of experience, where would they even start trying to build that process from?
Excellent question. I believe every entrepreneur has to start with the vision that they have that possibly nobody else has. And that's part of entrepreneurship. Having a vision that no one else has and stepping into the arena, deciding to get muddy every day and get after it. That is the intersection young folks, people in the middle, or older folks that want to be entrepreneurs have to think about. Having a vision for what they're doing that sets their soul on fire, and then can they bring that vision through life, through sound fundamentals, through understanding, the economics of their vision and making an application. So it starts with the vision that the entrepreneur has. And how Yesley was born, as I talked earlier, was the vision for just an active lifestyle. And that doesn't mean you have to be a hardcore athlete like yourself or I that want to go out and run every day, but you might want to just go for a walk around a block or go horseback riding. But Yesley wants to inspire you to live an active lifestyle, to live a healthier life. And hopefully through the way we bring our brand to life, we can inspire others to live that active lifestyle. And ultimately for me, that's the goal for folks, right? That it doesn't have to be that difficult. It does not. It just has to mean that you make motion part of your life, and that we want to really sell to every consumer with a mouth and inspire them to make a difference for themselves and say yes to what's next.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I make the joke to people all the time. I think I'd have a hard time trying to build a brand around something that's not a positive movement, because that's just so much who I am. I've always been
Right.
that teammate that wanted the team to be better. I wanted to empower everyone to be the best version of themselves. And no matter what brand I started, I would instill that type of culture in that brand. So I would just expand on the product lineup to bring more of that to it. And I think most people don't really understand that. So, when I started Kettlebell Kings, I didn't even know what company I was going to start. I knew I was going to start a company, and I was determined to get on the field and play regardless of what the product was going to be. And I had an internal vision on how I could empower people to live better lifestyles, whether that was a health and fitness lifestyle, and it ended up being more around fitness specifically. But that drive came from me and from my experiences growing up. And that's kind of what I talk about in my book, is that I think everyone has those deep philosophies and the ways they think they can improve the world or improve communities. And when you can really build your brand around that, I think it really shows, and people kind of gravitate towards it quite a bit.
Yeah, Chad, I think to your point, right? You had a vision for what you wanted to do, and it was to create, inspire, and empower people to be better. And I think when you do that, you're serving your community before you even get started. And that's a great place to be, right? You're giving back before you even get started. That's a wonderful starting point, right? And what I think folks also have to understand, it's not linear. It's not a straight line. It comes with a lot of battle scars. It comes with a lot of long days, a lot of long nights, and getting muddy. But when you're doing that and you have an endurance mindset, that it really is a life journey. It's about, as I said earlier, never stop evolving. You just want to continue to improve and give people an inspiration and a brand that becomes part of their life. And if you do that effectively, you can make a difference for others. And I think, we're all here to make a difference for others. I think, I always believe that reaching down and helping folks is the best thing we can do. Gandhi always said giving is a selfish act because it makes us feel better. And it really does. And when you build a brand that way and your fans start to talk to you about how they love Kettlebell Kings or Yesly, now you're starting to do something meaningful. Now you're impacting lives. And there's nothing greater in business than impacting lives.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I still remember the first, few emails that we received saying how much people appreciated it, and people, giving us the before and after photos. Like, all of those things were it's awesome to see, and it's awesome to think that even you had a part to play, or you were that spark that initiated. I think that goes a very long way. And I think there's a lot of brands out there that don't see that part of it, and they just see the product. And, I think that's very hard to do. When you're thinking about kind of your experience in corporate America and what you're able to achieve with creating a community and creating this kind of fan or ultimate enthusiast for your brand, what did you learn there that you were trying to kind of bring over to Yesly? And, maybe more importantly, what did you learn you don't want to have kind of at Yesly? Like, what separates you from, a more corporate, product that just is, another Coca-Cola product, for example?
Yeah, this is a great fireside chat. I love it, Chad. It's really some great questions. One, I think what you learn in corporate America is discipline and good metrics, right? And how to build a strategy. And I think that's wonderful. And I think there's a lot to be learned there. As an entrepreneur, you have to be able to do that. But what you don't want to be, what often happens in corporate America, is it's slow moving and it's a big battleship and it's hard to turn. I often say it's often like the elephant that can't swat the fly. And as an entrepreneur, speed has to be your friend, right? The fast eat the slow never eat the fast. And that's the benefit of being an entrepreneur. That's why many corporations acquire brands, because of their innovation, because of their speed. So I think, to answer your question, to come full circle, you want to have good strategies from the corporate world and understand that, but application and speed have to be your friend as an entrepreneur. And that is the ability to block out the noise, make sound decisions, and move quickly.
No, I joke with people all the time. People are like, well, when did you decide to start your own business? And I was like, I kind of always knew I was going to eventually end up here. But I didn't know if I had all of the corporate structure that I needed to run a business. So if I've never managed 50 people before, I don't want the first time to be with my business. So a lot of my earlier jobs were to give me that experience and that even confidence in some ways to be able to go out and say, I know I can do this now. I've worked for a company doing, $50 million. I know I could do a company running 5 million by myself. I can take baby steps to get to where I want to go. And I think everybody's vision is different. So I encourage people, and I talk about this quite a bit in my book, to not necessarily have to, jump today. There's a plan that you can make to get to where you want to go. It can be a 5-year plan. It can be a 3-year plan, and putting yourself in position to get those experiences, I think, are more important than, the books you read, for example. I think you can read a lot of books, but having the real on the ground experience in the field that you want to become an expert in, to me, is one of the most lucrative ways that you can spend your time early on. When you were, working for companies, did you kind of already know, like, I'm going to, utilize a lot of this in my entrepreneurial journey as well? Were you kind of foreseeing this part of your life or your career as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always worked really craft. Like you, I love what I do. I love working at my craft. I love working with people. I love being a leader, and I love learning from folks. So I've been an operating CEO for 20 years, right? So I had a long-term vision that at some point I was going to run my own company, that I have done it for a lot of other folks, and I'm going to do it for myself. But I also want to encourage your fans is that you have to have an endurance mindset. I had that vision for a long time, but I wanted to get the operating background, be a CEO, to work the boardroom, to understand how to build strategy, to understand how to manage teams. And I knew at some point this would be part of my journey. And here I am today doing it, loving every minute of it. But I've been in a lot of battles. I've been in the mud, and I understand the long-term game. And I understand nothing's easy. It doesn't mean you have to wait 20 years to do something. You can jump off and build your wings on the way down. What I am saying, though, is playing the long game, to your earlier point, Chad, is important. I think patience, persistence, and vision is what allows you to weather the storms and continue to get better along your own journey. And that's why I encourage folks to work on their craft, to wake up every day and to do the reps, to look inward, to think about what you stink at, how you can adjust. As human beings and organizations, we want to deflect. We want to talk about all the great things that are happening, how great our team is, how great what's going on, and we want to almost ignore what's going wrong. I actually don't want to know about the great things. I already know what we do well as a team. I know what I do well. I want to talk about where we have to improve, where we have to close the gaps. I believe when a team does that, they become really, really great competitors. Again, it's about adjusting that Rubik's Cube, always making changes, and that's the journey of life as well, right? It's not a straight line, and it does come with the rain, and none of us are sheltered from the rain, none of us in business or life. And when we have discipline and we do the reps, we keep getting better. You have to have a mindset that you're willing to do the boring work for a long period of time and get better at that work. And that's when, through time, you pick up momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, I joke with people and say, it's not really, this is like self-improvement. It's not self-compliments. We're not here to pat each other on the back.
Right.
We are supposed to do good things. The bad
Right.
things are what we're supposed to improve at.
Exactly.
And I think my background in sports, it honestly was somewhat difficult for me in corporate America with this mindset. One of the key terms I would be called, and I only know this because the term was used, was that I'm somewhat confrontational. And I would say, well, hey, I'm not confrontational. I'm just bringing up, the things that I see that are wrong, and I'm trying to fix them. And then when people don't want to fix them, I bring them up again. So there's no not fixing them in my mind. But, like you say, a slow moving ship sometimes can't adjust as fast as you need it to.
Exactly.
When I was, playing football, you watch film every single day, and you spend 90% of that time watching the mistakes you made and how you can improve on those. You don't spend rarely any time. Sometimes you don't even watch the highlights. It's more of you're only there to see how you could have done better the next day, and you go out and you try to do better when you're actually on the field competing. So that comes naturally to some people, and I think there's a lot of people who maybe don't have those experiences, and that's a little harsher when you jump into it. But I think it's a huge mindset shift that gives you an advantage when you're an entrepreneur, when you can not get discouraged by going over the things you've done wrong and trying to improve on them. It's not it's not the end of the world to tell yourself, you could have done that faster. You could have done that more efficiently. There's a better strategy than the one that you're currently using. I think it's a great aspect of, your mental fortitude to be able to kind of see that and be able to make those adjustments on the fly.
Yeah, I think it's actually one of the greatest assets an entrepreneur can have is to, one, be constructively dissatisfied all the time, and two, to review the tape to say, where could we get better? Even your best presentation, even your best pitch has room to improve. When you have that mindset, before you high five, where could we done better? Recalibrate, look at it again. That is a mindset that not many folks have, and it is truly a competitive advantage. Truly a competitive advantage, right? I wake up every day, I look at my week, I review my week. On Fridays, I usually take a night run, I cool down and think about the week. Every week I've done some things well, and every week I've done some things where I missed a couple balls. That's okay. That's just living. But because I'm always recalibrating, I'm always have a corrective action, I'm always toggling between my pillars, my faith, my family, others, and business. And that's how I run my life. Like I block out the noise. If it doesn't fit into these 4 pillars, I don't do it, right? And when I have those 4 pillars, one of them is a little always out of whack, but I toggle and say, okay, where do I have to put more focus? Is it my family? Is it others? Is it time with Chad today? Or is it maybe my faith or my business? But I'm making adjustments, and I'm always continuing to have a constant, continuous improvement mindset. And I'm always constructively dissatisfied. Some folks will be, well, you're hard on yourself. No, I'm hard on myself. I'm just looking inward because I want to continue to evolve. A fixed mindset stops evolving. Leaders have to be learners. And when we take that throughout our life, that's what sets my soul on fire. That's what makes this conversation so great with you, right? Like-minded people, fans that want to win, and we know we lose, but through those losses, we get better.
Yeah, no, I think every entrepreneur that's successful has heard you're too hard on yourself is a common thing that you will hear from other people. And
Right.
I think, sometimes we can be hard on ourselves, but I think like you say, that's part of our nature. That's part of self-improvement. Is we don't even see it as being hard on ourselves. We see it as kind of the way to be. It's not even another option in my mind to not improve from where I was last year or even yesterday. I know every time that I work out, it's not going to be the greatest experience, but
Right.
next year I'm going to be better than I was the previous year, and next month I'm going to be better than I was last month. So having that enduring mindset and the perseverance and self-awareness to self-evaluate, recalibrate, go back out there, do it again. I think that's a huge, huge aspect of success when it comes to entrepreneurship. I could keep talking all day about this. This is probably one of my favorite interviews I've done so far. So, but I know we are on a somewhat time constraint. So tell the people and the fans of the show and, really anybody where they can find more about you and how they can work with you directly, whether that's through the book or, some of the brands or the products that you actually offer.
Sure, absolutely. First, I'd like to close with saying to your fans and to your people, don't let other people discourage you from going after your entrepreneurial dreams. Often when you hear things from other people, it's their internal conflict that they have throwing it on you. So have a vision for what you want to do. And part of being an entrepreneur is having a vision that nobody else has, and set your sights on winning over the long term. And remember, by endurance, we conquer. With that said, you can find the book, The Summit Mindset, on Amazon. The Summit Mindset, it's co-authored by Scott Miller and James C. Moore, a New York Times bestselling author, and it's really a book about business and life. And you can find Yesley Water on Amazon as well as on yesleywater.com and on our Instagram, Yesley Water. We look forward to being a national brand over the course of the next 3 years. We're in about 22 states today, and we hope you pick some up and try some wherever you are in the country, order on Amazon. And most importantly, to your fans, leaders are learners, motion's part of life, and surround yourself with like-minded people and have an endurance mindset.
And quick question, do you guys have subscriptions as well for the water?
You can actually, you can find that on Amazon as well. And that's really our best target right now as we roll out to be a national company.
Nice. Well, I really appreciate all the information, and we appreciate having you on this Fans First podcast, Scott. It was very nice meeting you, and we look forward to following your journey.
Yeah, Chad, it was an honor spending some time with you today. I really appreciate it. Good luck on your journey, and let's stay in touch.
Will do. Thanks.
Thanks.